this is another session where my dear friend Shri and I will continue to implement a capability that allows people to use a library to write C# code and produce release components or release code, YAML code that allows them to kind of deploy their ASP.NET Core applications to Azure. And Shri, correct me if I'm wrong. I have a lot of a little bit of amnesia here. The last time we stopped, we were working on the file foundation, service, right? I
Yeah.
don't think that one is done yet, right? Okay, so let me get pull here real quick just to make sure I have the latest.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like that you have done a couple of things, and wow, February 12th, we got lazy, Shri. What happened to us? I thought we're
I think a week or two we missed. Yeah.
yikes. Okay. All right. Shri, you guys is the one that keeps me on my toes. I don't know, what am I doing anymore? So I'll be like, dude, we need to finish this. I was like, okay. Okay. So let's go and, see if we can implement this. Okay. So you have the should throw validation exception. Let me write some tests here real quick. Let me run all the tests and make sure everything is passing.
Mm-hmm.
Just real quick. So I'm assuming I should probably increase the display on my computer so
Okay.
people can see stuff. What do you think about that, Shri? We want people to see what we're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
No? Okay.
From wherever they are, in
Yeah.
whichever machine they are using. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Let's see. Display settings. 150. Okay. I'm trying to write a library for the lake house just as a concept. We'll see if I can get this out. Okay. All right. And I'm running all the tests and everything is passing. Is the so let me just get the right size. Okay, there you go. So you can see my screen very well. Everything is good, right?
Yeah.
All right. So whose turn is it? Is it me or you?
So
Accord.
the last one that's there in the commit is a pass test from me. So I'll have to give you a failing test.
And you let me set up the screen and run around and get.
Oh, it's fine. Good, right? We validated
That's
certain
good. That's
things.
good. All right. You take it. All right. All right.
Okay, so let me know if this resolution is good enough.
This resolution is goody. Let's go.
Okay, so as a recap, what we did was the last one is a validation test if content is invalid.
Hmm.
I think with this, we are good with our validation test.
Hmm.
So we have to progress to our dependencies.
And we did validation for both, right? Okay, so that's perfect. So now we need to, oh yeah, that's the last time. That's the thing that we were talking about last time.
Hmm.
The exceptions that this library is throwing, right? The broker is throwing,
Hmm.
right? So what kind of exceptions do they throw? We could actually run like a quick POC to see, thank you. So to see if if we have all the exceptions, or we can also look at the source code.
Hmm.
So which route should we take?
Yeah, I think you can share your screen and do
Let's
the
do that.
research. I'll take notes on it.
Okay, let's do that.
You
Let's
are a
go
pro
here.
on that. Hmm.
Okay, I'm the pro. Okay, sounds good. I'm the pro. The pro, the pro, the pro. So we're using file IO, right? That's one,
Hmm.
right? And then the other thing that we're using, let me close the 50,000 tabs that I have open.
Just 50. Okay.
Just 50,000. I think
Hmm.
I think I need to, these are rookie numbers, sure, right? Okay, source.net. And we're using write all lines, right? That's what we're GitHub. Let's
Just
see,
checking it out.
A.NET, A.NET brokers, IOs, and then we're using what Shri we're
Write
using
all text. Mhm.
write all text. Okay, so write all text. Okay, and this guy in the file IO system, right?
Why is it Visual Basic core?
Yeah, I think I ran into the wrong crowd. Is it actually written in Visual Basic? This is C#, right? I
Yeah.
think. Write all text.
Yep.
Private core lib, write all texts,
Yep.
validate. There you
This is
go.
the right. Yep.
This is the one, right? So let's
Uh-huh.
see, validate and then write to file. Okay, what is this validate guy? Ha ha ha. Look at this. And they're upgrading their, libraries because just for the people watching us, this here is a bad pattern. Why is that? Because, your model should either have a capability or a functionality or be a data container. In this case here, it's doing both. So that's a little bit of obtrusiveness, and this might apply if you're building something like a human model. A human model has a name and a personality and age and all that, but they also eat and drink and walk and all that. But in our case here, we're basically building a factory that processes data points. And data points, like when you're putting a paper in a printer, the printer does the function and the paper contains the data,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they don't intersect. But anyway, we have argument exception if null or empty, and then argument null exception if throw if null. So argument, this is really weird because this guy here,
That's working on the path. The next one is working on the content, the file content.
yeah, so this guy is null or empty because this guy is a string, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is just an object. Okay, so they're checking for null in here. So I guess that's the first thing we need to handle, Shri. Let's go write a test for it.
Argument exception and argument null exception.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we could combine both of them if you want. Like we could take both of them as one exception if you want.
Mm, generalizing argument exception.
Yeah, so argument exception should catch both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, we do the same thing with exceptions where we go
Mm-hmm.
and say, DB update exception. There's 41,000 errors, possible errors that are contained within that, but we
Mm.
just care about the ones that we care about. Like SQL
Yep.
can throw actually 41,000. You still didn't update. We'll put your name there when you get a chance, okay? Anyway, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so this is going to be coming from the member data of, we're going to call it as file dependency exceptions, IO
sure.
dependency exceptions.
File. Let's call it file. What did we call the broker? File broker?
Yeah.
Yeah, file dependency exceptions is fine.
Okay. And this is going to be should throw dependency. Do we want to say dependency
Dependency
validation exception?
validation. Yes. Hmm.
Exception on right if dependency error
If
occurs.
dependency, yeah, if dependency validation error occurs, unlock it async. Unlog it is no async.
And
Yeah.
where are we? 109. Okay. So let's go create this one. And here we are. So this is a public method, public static, your data, and the name is this.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, let me move a little bit down.
Now it's a property. You want to make it a,
Oh yeah. And then we're going to return just one thing, right?
well,
New.
if you're gonna do it this way, you're gonna put both. Otherwise, you could have just written one test. Right. Let's do both
Mm-hmm.
then, since we're handling
Okay.
both of them the same. Mhm.
Okay. So return theory data of, this is going to be exceptions, right?
Yes. Hmm. Right.
This way.
You need to say new theory data.
Mhm. Argument null. We want to take in precedence of the first one,
Sure.
right?
Yep. Absolutely. Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. They don't need a message, so we're good.
So what are we gonna localize these to?
We're going to say invalid file exception, file dependency exception.
Is that what we did with the what did we do with bad request? Let me take a look real quick at OSSS real quick. So
Hmm.
OSSS portal basically. OSSS. Let's go to web brokers, not brokers, foundation services,
Hmm.
foundations, students, exception, and bad request. Exception. Yeah, we said invalid student exception, but we wrapped it up. So the one that says what it is the category,
Hmm.
but you're absolutely right. Yep. So it's invalid, um, invalid file exception, something like that. What's
Okay.
the name of our service? Is it file service? Yeah, invalid file exception, basically.
Hmm. So back to file action. And here this is going to come from file service dot.
You're on the broker.
I'm sorry. Yeah, auto completing is.
It's failing you. Did we call it files service? Just do this dot and type
Okay.
service and see what it says. Oh, it is. Why is it failing you miserably like that? It's horrible.
So
What?
let me break this one like this and say some path, comma, some content, right?
Okay.
And then this is gonna be string, some path. eh, Oh, I'm gonna prepare my exception, right? So let me
That's right.
first take it out here. Okay. And my inner is gonna be invalid file dependency exception. Exception. And this is going to be wrapped under the dependency validation exception. Okay, so here we are under models, files, and exceptions. Add class. It's going to take in the system exception.
That's right. Inner exception.
My dependency error. So here, I think we'll have to take it back. Maybe we say dependency validation exception here or something.
So if this is your local, you just say invalid file exception. You don't say dependency at all. The one that's going to determine if it's a dependency error or not is going to be the category. The category is going to say it's a dependency validation exception.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because remember, our validations actually can be structural. It can be logical and it can be integral, like an integration validation. And these integration validations split into two. Ones that are coming from the outside source without us invoking it,
Hmm.
and one like locked exception, for instance, right?
Yeah.
And there are ones that we invoke when we go and say, hey, go find if this student ID actually exists, so we
Hmm.
can determine whether to throw an exception or not, right? Anyway, so invalid file exception, I think we already have, probably not.
So
What did we use for
we say
what?
file path and file content because we even went in the granular level of what the actual parameter was it.
And that's okay. I think that's
Mhm.
okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. I like that we broke it down this way. That's real. Okay, love it. Love it.
Mhm. Okay, then our wrapper is going to be file. depend file dependency validation exception. And this is going to take in the invalid file exception. So again, under models, let's create the class. I've become talkative like you, Ashan. Recording videos for Mamsu code is like I
I
cannot keep my
saw.
mouth shut when I'm writing code.
Actually, I think if you are able to kind of write code and do something else, no matter what this other thing is, you could be just joking with someone, talking to someone, talk about another topic. That means coding has become a second nature. Like you're not even thinking about it anymore.
And it's very handy when you're a mom, right?
Yes. To be honest with you, Shri, like a lot of people reach out to me and they're like, Hassan, how do you manage your time? I'm like, I am a walk in the park compared to Shri. Shri is a mama. She has to take care of three daughters, two daughters, Shri, three,
Two,
two, two daughters. I keep thinking there's three Shris, so these are three.
including me.
So two daughters have to take care of them, have to look after them, but at the same time, you're kicking ass big time when it comes to, software development. You brought down OSSS pull request to
Zero.
one. You
Oh,
gotta be
one?
kidding
Okay.
me.
I left one for some mercy something. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's power right there. I mean, for people watching us, if you have the passion, nothing can stop you. Really, you become a superhero, unstoppable force. I really appreciate that. Yeah, and I am the one who says I don't know how you do it, but I really appreciate all of this. This is great. Look at all these people, coming from everywhere and every corner in the earth, just, talking to us and learning software engineering from us and teaching us, and sharing their perspectives. I think this Discord channel was one of the best decisions I've made this year. What do you think about that? You think that was a good decision? I thought that was a pretty good
Yeah,
decision.
it's good.
Yeah, and then I got to see all these different people and
And
just get.
I pity Elbuck when I'm pairing with him. I just ensuring like, are you not bored? I'm talking and typing. Are you not feeling distracted or so?
So Elbic, he himself is a YouTuber. So
Mm-hmm.
he is doing that. The only difference is that, sometimes I look at Elbic and I'm like, I wish I did this when I was younger. This guy is good. This guy is catching that train really, really early on. You know, there's no task, it's an action, right? You just need to leave it
Mm-hmm.
there. Some things are just better left alone, Shri. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So then it's just throws, right?
Yeah, see?
Okay. So after this, what are we expecting? We're expecting the dependency calls.
Be called at least once, that's right.
Let me move this bit down. Okay. Mhm.
File.
It's not miss one. It's like you miss the first chance. I will not auto complete it.
It's too late. Ooh, I didn't know Mock had it is regex. Interesting. We're tapping into some weird, weird stuff. Have I ever talked to you about mutex and C sharp?
Okay,
Wow.
so this is our library, so we don't have any logging broker.
Hmm.
So this is the only dependency as well. So we say files broker dot vno. Then let's not call it log it, right?
Yep. What do you mean? We still have to, well, yeah, we don't log anything at this
Mm-hmm.
level. We just let whoever is using the library make that determination for themselves. That's right.
Yep.
Because we're shipping everything, like the entire stack is already shipped out, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Anyway, back to
Okay.
my question. Mutex, ever heard of that guy?
No.
Okay. It's rarely used in very specific situations. but maybe you and I can make a special session about it. Why not? It's all about threading and, you know, handling threads outside of your current process, and it's fun. It's fun stuff. Yay, good stuff.
Mhm. Okay, so this one says my expected is dependency validation, but actually this one was getting thrown.
Mhm.
But why is it?
Because
Shouldn't it tell actual should be the
because you were supposed to throw argument exception, right? But you didn't
oh,
throw that. All right, let's try that again.
okay.
And just for the people watching us, what Shri's doing here, that's real professional software engineering. That just because it's failing, it needs to fail for the right reason. And that's what she's talking about here. Is it even failing? Are we already handling that?
It still says invalid file exception.
Invalid file exception. Why is that? Because, oh, so we're creating some variables. Can you go into write to file real quick, like the actual implementation line? Okay, so view validate input. So we did that. And then we went and said write to file,
Mm-hmm.
right? Write to file. And what are the exceptions that we're catching today, Shri? Like the
So
try cat.
mhm, those are native exceptions.
Okay, so invalid file path exception, valid file content exception. That's nice. And then go back to your test real quick. Control minus. I would do that
Mhm.
trick for. Okay, so let's see here. So some path, invalid file, dependency validation, exception. And then you said when you call that files broker, dot setup write to file with whatever, throw the dependency validation exception. Okay, and then expect that file dependency validation exception is to be the one that comes from the other side, and that write to file. Okay, so and the error that you're receiving says what?
Maybe just clean and rerun.
Yeah.
Rebuild. Let me select all of it and then run.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, now it's good. So it's expecting dependency validation, but the actual is the argument null.
Nice.
And
Yep.
here it's just the one here.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is it my turn? Is
Yep.
that what it is? Wow. Giving me failing code? That's really violent. Like, why would you? All right, let's see. Here we go. Let's run the world.
So what's the next step for OSSS? People are like, okay, now OSSS is like a Bible or Quran or Gita for reference of standard, and we don't have any much opportunities there to code, right? Now it's like taking it to next level on
Well,
code
well, first,
props, updates.
well, first of all, on the OSSS portal, everybody needs to learn how to implement all CRUD operations on a
Yeah.
grid.
Mm-hmm.
So every single entity that you're seeing in OSSS is
Mm-hmm.
supposed to have some grid on the other side, on the portal side.
Mm.
This will help people understand how to manage data in general,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But also OSSS, next step, we need to elevate all the existing code to standard 2.2, which is the part where you localize the exceptions and your
Mm-hmm.
controllers are actually throwing the actual problem detail,
Yeah.
you know, instead of the actual and instead of some inner message code.
Yeah.
You know
I,
what I
I
mean?
see Mehdi created a lot of code rub stacks there. That's so helpful.
He's the one owning that right now. Nice, nice.
Oh, he just created a lot of issues. I think people are looking for opportunities. At least they know
Uh-huh.
what exactly they have to do rather than going through all the code. It's now a huge
Nice.
project. It's not easy to go through the code.
I don't know why. I mean, if you understand, see, our project, this OSSS is just like DNA. If you take a small service and understand it very well, you can understand anywhere in that project,
Yeah, the
right?
kickstarting, right? People should
Yeah.
not look at the files or the size of the code and say, oh my God, this is too much. But then if they understand, put effort for understanding one pattern, then that's the rest of the code. That's standard.
Right. I agree. Someone asked me this question the other day, said, I really care about data analytics and data processing. How me looking at OSSS is helpful for me. I was like, well, now you learn how to use source control, how to communicate with other team members. And at some point in time, this project should generate data so we can work with something called HD Insight.
Mm,
Azure HD Insight allows you to use C Sharp, so you can go and actually interact with Kafka or interact with Hadoop or any of these technologies to work with big data.
mm-hmm.
So that's my thought. Let's see. You know what would be nice if I could just do this. Exception is argument null exception or argument exception. That would
Mm.
make Hassan very happy. Okay, Mads, if you're watching this video, make it happen. C sharp 11. Let's go. So okay, so this is argument null exception. This argument exception.
So,
And
as we are capturing at two different stages, then do you think invalid file exception makes sense, or do we want to say invalid file, null file exception, invalid file argument exception, something of that sort, so we kind of exactly know where this error coming from?
well, if you say null file exception, how do you know whether it's the path or the content?
Yeah, that's true as well.
So invalid kind of covers both. And we're still giving people the stack. We're just telling them here's the
Mm-hmm.
situation that you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Ideally, this would be running like the errors that come from here only happen when you're trying to generate a file. But there will be a stage where people automate that, Shri.
Mm.
Like a service will be calling another service to kick off A.NET.
Mm-hmm.
Like autonomous repository creation.
Mm.
There will be a point in time where people don't have to actually, write most of this. Like the stage that we're in, it's called stage one.
Mm-hmm.
Stage one. Stage one meaning that we moved from the stage where I'm trying to convince people that there is a better way to write software into the stage where people are already convinced, but they're writing the software. Stage two is the automatones state, right? Automatones state, where people start automating all these foundation services and all of these brokers, and
Mm-hmm.
they're only focusing on processing and orchestration because that's where the brain power is.
Yeah.
And then stage three is when they automate orchestration services and they start just coming up with ideas and programs self-program. And at
Mm-hmm.
this point in time, we'll be hitting the singularity. So we need to take down the very programs that we built. We'll turn into vigilantes. So I don't know what happens after that. Anyway, let's go back to the source code and see what other exceptions that we need
Yeah.
to take care of. So here is source.net, write all text, not Visual Basic. Core lib, write all texts, validate. So validate is done and then write to file. Okay, here comes the fun stuff. Read only span. This is all upgraded. All this code is upgraded to new C sharp. I'm really happy about that. Save file handle. Okay, so every one of these methods
Mm-hmm.
get preamble array. So this is is a low risk. Is there a way I can go back?
Oh,
Yes, there
control
is.
minus. Oh, okay, nice.
Not here. I don't know. Maybe control minus does. Nope, it just controls the.
Yeah.
So anyway, so okay,
Okay.
so write to file preamble length. So if this guy comes back as null, okay, so then open handle. An open handle does validate arguments. Ooh, fancy. And then does it throw exception? Argument out of range
Mm-hmm.
exception. And there's also argument exception. So argument out of range. I'm so jealous of Java. Java could make this so easy for us. You have no idea. But C sharp is much more advanced. Like Java, you can go and do this. Void foo.
Mm-hmm.
And in Java, you have to go and say throws, and you have to
Yeah, in
define
the
all.
definition itself.
You have, yep, you have to define all the exceptions that your method throws. So when you're generating documentation, it just works, right? Fine.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a plugin or something that can say is like, yeah, inside this method, these are the exceptions. Inside this method, these are the exceptions that can travel through.
Ah, what about the dependencies? It's compiled in runtime. That's the power of the JVM.
Mm-hmm.
Like it knows your inner exceptions that you're trying to handle. It's
Mm-hmm.
insane. Like let me just tell you this. Java will force you, at least as far as I remember, if you're typing void foo like this, right? And you're going and saying, let's see. I really should talk to Mads about this. Let's see what he says. He's probably gonna say no. But anyway, let's just do this. So if you go here and say void foo like this, right? And you're using some method like, my broker dot get stuff async or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, right? Or get stuff, right? This guy will error out saying that you didn't handle all the exceptions that are coming from this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll say handle it, all reflected in here in your throws, but it makes the code look really crappy too. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I could do something about that. It's a compiler level problem though, but we could probably do something about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry, Shri, I found one more exception, so you're gonna have to take that back.
Oh,
So so
that's
why
okay.
so why did this pass? Because this guy took it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's okay. And then let's go back to the open source here and let's see. Throw argument out of range exception. Okay, we have all of that. Argument exception, argument exception. Okay, we caught all of that. And then what about this guy? Argument exception. Wow, they really love their argument exception. Throw if deserialization in progress. Throw what? Serialization exception.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay. Hassan, likey. Okay, let's go into this guy. New serialization exception. Is this the same one though? I want to make sure. Just for the people watching us, see if you're writing proper software, you have to catch everything. Everything. Yeah, it is the
Yeah.
runtime, Shri.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, Ashri. This one will not, I don't think this one will be handled because it's not part of argument exception. I don't think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, should we, yeah, just take this and make it fail. There. Sorry, make it fail.
Okay.
Right. Went out of range. Deserialization token. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all of them, Shri.
Okay. So the next one should be worked on the
Mm.
what else? Yeah, service exception, right?
Yeah, just the service exception. I'm just looking again real quick just to make sure. Dispose and throw. So they throw the exception as is. Yikes. You know what would be nice if we could tell an exception from an exception? Like what if your dependency threw an exception, the generic one?
Mm.
We need to be able to tell where is it coming from.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Yep.
I need to think about that a little bit, but we definitely need to cover that. Um, let me write an issue here in my standard to address this problem. The standard issues. This will be around foundations, how to distinguish.
So has an serialization exception, will that be a dependency validation or dependency? Because it's nothing much to do with a data type, right?
You know what? You're right. Let me take that. Okay. We need to find one second. Find
Sure.
out a way to distinguish distinguish between exception being thrown from a dependency versus the exception that is originating from the very same service we are in. So, okay, I'm creating this as an issue. So the serialization exception,
Hmm.
that's a dependency exception. You're right. Let me rewrite my test. I'm gonna take your
Okay.
screen again. Revert
Sure.
whatever you have.
Hmm.
That's a very good catch. See, you're great. You should know that. You're just great. So let's go here. Let's do this. Here's
I was
fact.
really envied, you just took a second to write a failing test, so I want to give you some work.
just you know what? You're not gonna let me get away with it, huh? Okay. Should throw. Let's see. Should throw dependency exception on right if serialization exception occurs and occurs. There's no logging, right? So
Hmm.
they didn't write logging here. Yeah, good job. Okay, perfect. So var serialization exception. See, writing code properly will make you dig into these things and know about them. So now you and I know, that there is a thing called serialization exception,
Hmm.
right? And that is something that occurs when you try to serialize stuff. Okay, so serialization exception. I'm gonna take this
So
guy.
there was one, I remember back in time, an interview question where they asked about how is an array in .NET down the lane getting processed? Okay. So it's like now if we would have traversed to that kind of standard way of how array is getting used and all those things, then
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, yeah, this is going here, this is going here, and it's there,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Yep. I agree. Hmm, I agree. It's true. Ah, where's the models? Why is this guy at the bottom? Oh yeah, we talked about this. Okay, we'll fix
Yeah,
it.
so it's all in the master. So let me get the latest and get it updated.
Oh, you already fixed it? Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Okay, let's do this. File serialization exception, and this guy, exception. Sure. Takes in an inner exception of a generic type. And it goes here and says message failed file serialization error occurred. Contact support. Here's your inner exception. Oops, inner exception. Okay, Control KE, go back to the world.
Public.
Oh, and I generated a file mistakenly. Let's go back. Mm, 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 mm. Oh, I don't know why the template, I hate that template. It's failing me miserably. Because see what it did? It generated a constructor that is public, but still didn't help, right? So
Mm-hmm.
let me go here. So first one, serialization exception. This will be file dependency exception, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have. Yikes. You're really making me work. That's not fair. It's just it's just being mean. Okay, let's see. Do
It's
that.
the standard that's keeping things within.
Yep. Just you don't need to. It just eliminates a lot of the nonsense that people like. You know how sometimes people might get into this mode where they just don't want to do anything the other person is saying. But if there's a standard, they don't even have to argue about that. It's not a topic for argument anymore because we already established that we need to write the code in a certain way. And just like I always say, it's the most dangerous thing is a team that runs without a standard. That's very, very dangerous. If a task is supposed to take a day, it'll take weeks to be done just because of that. Just because there's no standardization. Standardization is super important, super duper important. All right, guard, tech support. Okay, let's go back here.
Mhm.
File serialization, file dependency exception, failed file serialization exception. That looks about right. Well,
So in the Mumsu code, there was one question. So let's say we are writing our code to check for, we are validating null.
Mhm.
So how do we know whether we need to capture the null exception and then handle it, or have the code before in the try catch to check for null and then throw the exception? So they were like, when do we decide where to put the code?
When to decide when to capture the null exception?
Where
Great.
to put the code. So let's say in try,
Uh-huh.
we check if student is null, then throw null exception, right?
Hmm.
Rather than let's say student dot student ID, let that throw a null exception. In the catch, let call the null exception and then do it.
Okay, help me understand. If I go
Sure. Yeah.
into, I'm a little slow, so just bear with me a second. So in here and in the validate in the try catch, right?
Yeah.
You're capturing, let's say, null exception. You're going
Yeah.
here, you're saying catch null student exception.
Mhm. Instead of this localized model,
Hmm.
let's say we are calling an argument null exception.
Okay.
So in the try, we don't have any valid, I mean, in the um, actual file, we don't have any validate. Yeah, just this. So
Okay.
it's like, when do we decide to write code to check for null student? And then when can we let it go and say, let an argument null exception be thrown?
Ah. So the biggest rule that we have here is that every service for itself, every service is required, mandated to validate for itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Someone asked me this once. He said, Hassan, why am I validating if something is null at the processing service layer? If I know that the foundation service layer is also going to validate if or null. I said, because if I change the foundation service on you, your processing service will fall.
Mm-hmm.
What if I changed your foundation service into a broker and I'm calling an external resource and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just renaming your processing service into a foundation service? If you don't have all the required validations in
Mm-hmm.
place, your software is going to come in short. And also remember, we're building a monolithic systems with microservices mindset. What that basically means is that at any point in time, I'm building all these components to be separable, rewritable,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they have to be self-sufficient. Every service for itself.
Mm-hmm.
Every service for itself. This is really important.
And the
Otherwise,
way that I think about it is like zero trust, right? Do not worry
mm,
about what is your upper layer or down layer. Even
mm-hmm,
you write the
mm-hmm,
code is doing, but
mm-hmm.
just do the right thing that's there in this
Yep.
layer.
Ideally, if we work this way, ideally you could have a project that requires 20 components to be completed, and 20 pairs will write the entire project in 2 hours because they have no dependency on each other.
Yeah.
They're just programming against interfaces. That's all they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's the code. Right.
Okay. So this is gonna be okay. Serialization. Read file. Fail file serialization exception.
Oh,
Okay, so this one is here. Okay, both of us were sleeping.
oh, you should. Uh,
Do I call it serialization error occurs?
If serialization error occurs, it's fine. Yeah, that's fine too. Yep,
Okay,
perfect.
so now it's my turn for
Just
writing
the
the
service. Yeah, just the service.
service test.
Service, and then this service is done.
Yep.
Great, great stop,
Should
great
be
stopping point. Yeah,
service exception.
I can only find the architecture that we put together. Let's see. It's probably one of these older videos. Let's see. Yeah, people figured that out now. People be like, wait, 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 wait. Don't just give me a screenshot. You're crazy. There is, I think, I don't know if it's Yasser or Ayushi or Danielle, someone that I'm working with, and I'm trying to put every time I have to rewrite the entire architecture because I never hit the control S like a normal human being. Never. And I need to stop that because that's really sad. Honestly, like I don't know what to say, you know. Anyway, where is the architecture? Let's see. Let me know when you're done because I can't see you for a
Oh, sure.
second. Just for a second.
Mhm.
Okay, so serialization service. So this is release orchestration. So file service and serialization service. Okay, got it. Yeah, this is really simple. What you and I are building right now, that's a piece of cake. It's nothing
See the
there.
autocomplete, it's selling files, file service error.
It's trying to figure us out, which is interesting. Exception is wrong. Wow, you're taking this whole French thing to the next level. Okay. All right. Look at all these exceptions. By the way, in the future, just a suggestion, you don't have to kind of overreact. What do you think about breaking exceptions in the exceptions folder into localized and categorized?
Uh,
So so locals and categories. I feel like it's an overkill.
yeah. Because it's so evident, right? If you look at this pattern,
Hmm.
all the entity ones are going to come up. And if you see file, it's kind of
Right.
easier. Because you can, once you start putting categories, then it's like, again, you can go ahead and say, okay, these are validation exceptions and validations localization, validations categorization, dependencies localization, dependencies categorization.
Mm,
Um,
mm, that's
and
right.
the only thing is the namespace is going to cry. And 120, we cannot keep it up.
Right. Yeah, I guess we don't have to. I agree. I think that's okay. It doesn't give an advantage to anything other than having people ask, "Oh, what is this
Mm,
categories?" Right? But if you're reading the standard, like I wouldn't understand how you could possibly end up in a situation where you are writing a pull request to a standard compliant project if you don't know the standard, if you haven't heard about it. That would be problematic, right?
mhm. Um, okay.
Did I tell you that we hide the levels now in our messaging? Like if you're writing, file processing or invalid file processing exception.
We do not
Okay,
explicitly say
okay,
it's
okay. You
yeah.
know about that? Okay, perfect. Okay, cool.
Okay, here we are. It's fine. And then that. So another code rep task that I see in OSSS is these exceptions.
Yeah, the
They have,
localization.
yeah, sometimes it's like it's not it dot is any. It's like the same some part, some content. I think that needs to be changed, right?
Yep, 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 yep. I also see a lot of those same line, like broker and throws would be at the same line. Have you seen
Mm.
those? Sure, I don't
Yeah,
know
I
how.
think that's the cribbing of the autocomplete because if I do here and do tap, it's only giving me that, right? Just
Oh,
look at that thing.
really?
Hmm.
Interesting. Service exception, right file action, donezo. The dependency were never called again. Have you ever heard of Makito?
No.
It's what we used to use in Java, and Scala. It's basically how you mock these things.
Oh.
Um, although that mock in C sharp, it makes something not null only if it has to, so it doesn't, consume too much performance. Makito actually fills it up. So think of Makito as object filler and mock at the same time,
Mm.
like in one library. I thought that was pretty cool, Shri. That was pretty cool. All right, let's go to town. Let's make it rain.
Hey.
Yikes. So that's one service, and the other service is the serialization, and then we write an orchestration service. We show people how to write orchestration services, and that would be it, right?
Uh,
And then we
yeah,
clean up a lot of stuff. We basically need to rewrite, so we're
the
doing
build
this.
one. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't even know, to be honest with you, Shri. I guess what will distinguish between an orchestration service that does release and an orchestration service that does build, because there will be other tasks. It's not just build and release. Like there will be gradual release. Like for instance, we want to be able to release to certain regions around the world. What does that look like, right? Like
Okay.
if you have multi-geo redundant situation, what's that going to look like, right?
Yeah.
Right? Here we go. And then, let's write this. Yep. And then, okay, so you want me to handle the service exception. I am so happy I discovered this noise canceling thing. Um, failed. Because it makes your code. Just wait till I roll out the rollback on commits.
Mm.
That's or a end game until the next crazy thing that I will be doing. Service exception. This real quick. Okay. You don't have to register anything, right? Just
Yeah.
habits, right?
Mm.
So now if I go back into our um, repository, A.NET. Yes. Ours is still in draft mode. So if I publish this guy, ready for review. Okay. take a look on your side. I'll take a look on my side in case we capture anything. And then this
Mhm.
guy should be ready to merge, Shri. I'm gonna use my superpowers here and do the dot, the dot and see what happens. Okay, let's see here. Serialization. I don't know who was telling me yesterday I need to get rid of this extra line at the. I think it was Danielle, probably. Yeah.
End of the
And
file?
yeah, she didn't wanna. She didn't wanna have this guy here. Why do we leave this guy? So in case we wanna append to it. What was
No,
the?
that's the default template that the file gets created with.
Oh really? Oh
Yeah.
okay. Thanks, Sherry. Okay. Should probably tell her that. I'm not super sold one way or another. I think it's a good habit. Like you'll see some people actually even when they do an enum, the last value in the enum, they will leave a comma
Hmm.
after it, even though there is no value after that. And I asked someone once and they were like, just in case you want to add a new value, I don't want you, like when I review your code, I know the file that changed actually the code that you changed. It's
Hmm.
not just because you're putting a comma there. I am neutral. Love how our services are just simple and small, but they do things that are huge, massive. Let's keep going here, system. Let me run code cleanup real quick just for funsies,
Sure.
just to make sure that we have everything here. Yep, it came back with nothing. Yeah, pairing session with Hassan and Shri. Good luck. If you could find something to change after, that'll be a little bit of a challenge.
We ourselves changed the whole thing of A.NET.
We're literally rewriting the whole thing. No kidding. No kidding. Files broker. So this is one dependency. Yeah, from my side, I'm saying I'm good. But if you can
Yeah,
catch anything. On this side though, I'm gonna bring us back to the architecture,
sure.
just for the people watching us to understand. So what Shri and I are doing now is that you guys, we're basically going and saying, let's break things apart a little bit further. So we already know that there is some, IO file broker in here, and we already built that guy. And we have a serialization broker, which is the guy that takes up a C# code model and turn it into YAML, right? So now we're doing things properly by basically implementing the standard, and we're saying, okay, then we need a serialization service, a simple foundation service, and we need a file service. That's the one that Shri and I just did. Okay, so these guys are done. These guys here are done. This guy is gonna be the one Shri and I do next week. If you're available, Shri, that would be cool.
Yep.
And what we want to do here is that the orchestration service is gonna be something called release orchestration service.
Hmm.
And in front of this release orchestration service, we're gonna have a client sitting up in here. So the client is what we call an exposure component, right? So this here will be, a.NET client. And this client has all kinds of different partial classes, ones that expose, release, ones that expose build, provision, whatever the case may be. So these are the things that we have left to work on. And technically, this one is the one that we're gonna pick up after this one, right, Shri?
Hmm.
All
Okay, there
right.
was one extra line. I fixed that.
Wonderba. Let's go back to the pull request. You want to merge it or want me to merge it? You want to do the honors? Wow, we have a lot of
Uh,
pull requests open here, Shri. What's that all about? Is that my thumb 16 days ago GitHub Action Strategy feature? What's that? Default values handling? Shri, would you take a look and see what
yeah,
my
that is something we have to give it a thought because the validations is happening on the model level.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I don't like
yeah,
that. I think you and I talked about this guy here. Yeah, no, no.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, we just need to talk to Maitham and just talk to
yeah. I'll
Hassan.
set up some time and then go through that.
Okay, so this is right to file. Okay, and then this is config update.NET version. I want to know for sure um what video. There's no video here. Please take a look at this video.
Oh no, I mean, oh, I didn't send the link. Okay, the one that you posted, right? I'll add it up.
Okay. All right. So I don't know if upgrading to .NET 7 or A.NET will break anything. I don't think it will, Shri, would it? We're
I
just,
think you warned us about the entity framework, which is not a dependency here.
it's
Other
not.
than that, there's not ring a risk.
But does that mean anybody who has a project out there, they won't be able to, because this guy has an impact. How many people are using A.NET? Let's take a look. NuGet package. Yikes, do I want to know? Is that gonna deter me from making a better decision? Find out. View file. 5,000. Okay. Is it trending? 212? Oh, there's a new version of A.NET.
Yeah, the
5.
timeout settings that we released.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, just to ignore the null piece.
okay. Awesome. Yeah, sounds good. No problem. This guy says .NET 6. It's gonna say .NET 7 then. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, people can always roll back to a previous version.
Version. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we could do this, Shri. We could finish up this release piece, release it in .NET 6, and then we release another version for .NET 7. Maybe you call it preview, like a .NET preview version. You know what I mean?
Okay,
So,
got it.
instead of it saying 2.0.5,
Mm-hmm.
we will call it 2 or 3.0.0 dash preview or something like that.
Okay,
Mm.
so when we make the release version, release pipeline out, it'll be 2.1.0.
It will be 2.1.0, yes, because that's
Okay,
a kind of a, actually it could be 3
3,
even,
right?
Shri.
Because it's a
Yeah.
major release.
A
Yeah,
major release. It's a major feature, right?
yeah, yeah.
Couldn't get any major than that, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and some people do something smart. Like if you look at the Entity framework,
Mm-hmm.
you will notice something interesting in their versioning. Like, look, somehow there is a correlation between the .NET version and the version of the Entity framework, right? We could
Hmm.
do something like this is for .NET 5. Like if you click here, it'll tell
Mm-hmm.
you this is, the .NET framework. I don't know, it says 4,
But I
it's
think,
5.
I've thought about it. If it's a tight dependency, then it makes sense to be aligned with it. Let's say our system will is not tightly dependent, right? Let's say
It's
if,
not. It's
yeah,
not.
it's not
By
something
the
that we have
way,
to leverage 7 for us to work. So,
we can literally write A.NET in any language in the world and it'll work just fine because the outcome of it is simply just the outcome is the YAML file. And it doesn't matter where this YAML file is coming from. So
mm-hmm.
it's not something that you deploy. It's something that just helps you not have to learn YAML, which I like a lot. Like when I want to go and upgrade a version or do something,
Hmm.
easiest freaking thing in the world. Easiest thing in the world, right? Okay, fine. That's cool. All right, let's merge it. Let's go. So write to file. So you're good. I'm good.
See,
You're
my
good.
photo is not coming. There's something that's wrong here.
Oh, I'll tell you about that in a second. I'll tell you why. I discovered why. I'll
Okay.
tell you. So, okay. Anyway, you were going to say something.
Oh,
Hmm.
just we'll wrap up the call then.
Yep, yep, that's it. And for the people watching us, I hope you found this useful. As usual, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to drop a comment in the comment section. Shri and I will, pick up next week the finalization of this. So we pick up a serialization service, and then we'll show you guys how to build an orchestration service. This is one rare time, other than the cul-de-sac, I guess, because I built a couple of orchestration services in there, but it wasn't really full orchestration service, Shri. I didn't do validations or anything. I was just showing
Mm,
people a concept, right? So
okay.
this will be a full-fledged orchestration service, with the exceptions and everything, and then we'll attach that to the client. So stay with us. Thank you so much, Shri. Thank you guys for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in another video. Bye, Shri.
Bye bye. Thank you.